Hi everyone, so we got our first Age of Empires 4 patch of 2022 today, and there's also another thing to talk about, which is the 1v1 ranked ladder beta test that they're going to do, or preview, depending on what you want to call it these days. But first let's talk about the patch itself. So it's focused on balance changes and bug fixes, and that's pretty much what it says here on the page. No fancy video today, let's just crack on and get through it. So, January patch notes, general stuff. The rate that we widen the acceptance pool for appropriately skilled players to match it with has been increased by 67%. Basically, it was taking a long time to match up 1v1 ladders and things like that because of the ELO and how difficult matches were going to be. And you could see that some of the high ranked players, it was taking ages and ages to find matches. And I know that The Muslim was saying that when he hit number 1, it was taking ages to find matches for him. So he actually started another account so that he could still play matches. And he wasn't hiding the fact, it was just so that he could actually continue to practice. And you know, if you're up in the higher tiers of the ladder, you don't want to be stuck waiting for, 5-10 minutes to try and find a match. It's not feasible, you need to practice. So I'm glad they've made that change. Interesting change is that scouts will now move 35% slower while carrying animal carcasses. So, a lot of the top tier players have been using professional scouts, and there's been a lot of tactics like rushing into the enemy base, picking up their carcasses and running off and not being able to be captured. This will fix that. Scouts will now be significantly slowed down to eliminate that issue. So yes, professional scouts will still be very useful, however, now the scouts will, be at risk when they're doing this. So it's going to change the meta of that quite considerably, I expect. Then horsemen 2 to 4 ranged armor is increased from 1 to 2. I should say that's tier 2, age 2 to age 4 ranged armor has been increased from 1 to 2. I'm not sure why it's phrased as that, to be honest, but I think that's the point. So Age 4 focuses on hard unit counters to encourage mixed army compositions. We found that it was too difficult to tech switch into horsemen against archers, as ranged focus fire picks off horsemen before they can close the gap and deal damage. You could see this in a lot of games, to be honest, especially in the higher tiers. If someone's very good at micromanaging their units, they could pick off each of the horsemen one by one and not lose many archers as a result. Obviously particularly good for the English with their ability to put down the pikes as well. Anyhow, moving on. HRE specific. Spearmen now activate the spear wall ability correctly. They've fixed an instance of the prelate getting stuck while inspiring and will no longer inspire other units. They've been having issues with that since the beta. I mean, that's nothing new. I remember having that bug before, but at least they're working on fixes for it, I suppose. Then you have the Russ. The horse archers now attack slower. The fire rate has changed from 2.0 to 2.5. It's updated to clarify previous wording. They noticed a larger issue with the attack speeds in general and will be doing a more robust fix in the future to address this issue, is what the developers say. I like some of these developers' notes. It lets you know what they're thinking is going to happen next further down the line. Then of course you have horse archers no longer receive additional attack speed and additional damage from the incendiary arrows technology. Warrior monks now move 25% slower while carrying a relic. That's probably a needed change, considering how slow all the other monks or religious units are in the game. So, as they know, in congruence with the scout speed reduction, we are making this change to allow more counterplay options against warrior monks quickly grabbing up all the relics on the map. It was a needed adjustment. They are a lot faster than the other monks or other religious units. Then the Mongols. So the Mongols were being played massive amounts in the higher tiers of the game. People were getting up there very quickly playing nothing but Mongols. So something needed to change, and this is the start of it. Starting wood has been decreased by 50. So the Mongol civilization gets off to a fast start by not needing houses. Enhanced stone income from the OVO. This change is targeted at slowing down the opening and giving enemies more time to muster a defense. Now the next one is the outposts, and this was one that I really wanted to see fixed because I've been not playing a huge amount, but I've been watching quite a lot of games, particularly DeMuslim and a couple of other of the pro players, just to see what they're up against. Outpost rushes were becoming a big meta for the game. So outposting costs have been increased from 70 wood to 100 wood. They found the outpost rushing strategy was too low of an investment for the Mongols for how powerful and difficult it is to counter. Yeah, because I even saw the Muslim and stuff getting pushed hard by this type of thing. You know, if they're struggling, there's no way I could possibly fight against it. Anyhow, Mongol outposts are still special as they provide the AMP network movement speed bonus, so there's still a reason to build them. It might just reduce the amount of people that are rushing to an enemy base to do that. You know, outpost rushing for any of the civilizations is possible. You know, it's not to say it's not, but this was a very cheap way to do it. Especially when they don't have to spend that wood on building houses and things. Then you've got fixed and exploit where it's possible to own multiple OVOs at the same time. I haven't actually seen that in a game, but admittedly the people I've probably watched wouldn't usually come up against that or do that, obviously. The Mongol Khaganate Palace can now be packed correctly. Fair enough. So they've removed the requirement for all Mongol buildings that they must have an empty queue in order to pack up. This is to allow them to move around quicker and people stress less, basically. Delhi Sultanate. Spearmen now activate their spear wall ability correctly. Keep tech times are no longer increased while in the influence of a mosque. Interesting. I know there's been a lot of issues with the tech times for the Delhi Sultanate. Piety-based research time reduced from 600 seconds to 135 seconds. Explosive-based research time increased from 300 to 900 seconds. This now correctly matches with the other research times of average cost technologies in Imperial Age. Technology research times for the Delhi Sultanate are based on their power level and the age that the technology is available in. That's fair enough. Chaser cannons based base research time is increased 450 to 1350 seconds. This now correctly matches the other research times of highly expensive technologies in the Imperial Age. That seems very reasonable. I mean, there's got to be a balance here that, you know, they should have to wait. It shouldn't be instant, and they should all sort of be very similar at each age level. And then you've got Hardened Spearmen, base research time reduced from 210 seconds to 105 seconds. Sanctity base research time reduced from 300 to 210. Herbal Medicine base research time reduced from 300 to 180. And Home Blades research time reduced from 1350 seconds to 300 seconds. That is a big change. Isn't that just a huge change? It's even bigger than the one the other way around for the Chaser Cannons. Then you've got the Chinese changes. Fire Lancer cost increase. Oh yeah, I've cut that off there. And the Fire Lancer cost has increased. It was necessary. There was a lot of Fire Lancer spam. Bonus versus range type unit has been removed. That probably makes sense. Anyone who's playing Chinese was spamming these things so much after the last few patches. Developer note, we envisage this unit as a hit-and-run raider that is effective versus building, siege, and villages. In addition to this, the current AoE damage is so powerful it can quickly nuke and kill almost all units. We've targeted these changes at making the Fire Lancer overall less cost-effective at fighting enemy troops. So, the Fire Lancer in Age 3, health has been increased, however the weapon area of effect damage is now 50% instead of 100%, and torch damage is reduced from 51 to 36. And in Age 4, health is increased to 180, the weapon damage is reduced to 13, the charge weapon damage is reduced to 23, the weapon area of effect damage will be 50% instead of the 100, and torch damage is reduced from 55 to 40. So, a few general changes overall, which, you know, were needed. Interestingly, that's the end of the patch. I think that was quite a short one, to be perfectly honest with you. I was expecting a bit more from the first patch of the new year, but I suppose they do have bigger plans upcoming. So, they just say, what's next? It works towards the goal of fair and fun play across all skill levels and provides more opportunity to execute at a high level with more of our civilizations. I'll be keeping an eye out for your response as we continue to fine-tune. In the meantime, we've already begun to prepare a February patch based on what we've seen in the forums and other social channels, as well as our own experiences in-game. Right now, we're looking to strengthen the Abbasid dynasty, very much needed, improving counterplay versus siege weapons, tuning demolition ships, and ensuring elephants and mounted cavalry units are no longer attack faster when their animation is cancelled, as well as a variety of other changes. That's so funny, the animation cancelling stuff is been a big question mark in my book, whether that's, fair play. I've seen a lot of the pro players using it. It's technically not really an exploit, so you can't really complain about people using it. It's something that they've left in the game and probably could have removed sooner. I don't know. Anyhow, the other thing I want to talk about, let me switch screens. Right, the 1v1 ranked seasons closed beta. So if you are interested in 1v1s, if you're interested in taking part in the closed beta, everyone is welcome. They're encouraging people who already play 1v1s and like a challenge to do it, because it involves downloading extra stuff and it's a bit of a faff. So if you want to do it, you're better off being someone who's going to enjoy those 1v1 matches. If you're not, then, there's still the quick playing game. But this is just sort of a test bed for them. So anyone can sign up if you are part of the Edge Insider program. It is running from the 20th of January to the 28th of January. I was thinking I was probably going to do it myself, but realistically I realise I've also got several other games that are coming out tomorrow in either beta form or early access form that I also have to play. Otherwise I probably would have grabbed this just to have a look, but we will see how much time the other stuff takes up. But basically, sign up as an insider, confirm your communication preferences, ensure your DX diag is uploaded, and it's good to re-upload it, if you've got any changes to your system, and then you wait to hear from them by email, and they will give you instructions on how to get hold of it. And it's an access key for an Age of Empires 4 beta product, which will be used to download and launch the preview. So it will be a separate download from the main game. So keep that in mind. You will need space for it. It will involve a download, etc., etc. So it won't be for everybody. But that's it. It was quite a short patch, all in all. As I say, I was expecting more. But I'm hoping to follow up in the next couple of weeks with some more Age 4 videos. I realise I've been neglecting it a little bit recently. I've just been focusing on other stuff that's coming out. But Age of Empires 4, I really want to get into doing some 1v1s eventually. I'm not as quick as I used to be. I'm getting old. But I'd like to try and get up the ladder a little bit and just see where I can get to. But thanks very much for watching, everyone. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If you do give the 1v1 ranked closed beta a go, let me know what it's like. I'd be really curious to know how people are finding it and how it's behaving. I'm assuming it's not going to be too different from the quick match options, other than, it will have a season attached to it. But let me know what you think. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.